This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, November 19th, 2019, episode 253. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Of course, you can visit our website. It is infectionpodcast.com. Joining me, now, Brian, I heard that you are a douchebag. I heard that on a podcast I listened to from the great state of Idaho, Brian the D-Bag Aldridge. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm doing very well.
It wasn't me that said it.
I know. It's the best podcast in the universe. I heard that actually said it. Thank you. If you want to find me at Voice the Computer on Twitter, of course, your blog, biteoftech.com. And make sure you go check out our website, infectionpodcast.com, where I'm sure it talks about how Nick is a douche. But
whoa!
Or
hold on, wait. Did you edit the host's page? It says like Nick is a douchebag. Oh, you updated your picture.
I could very easily.
Wow, this is an old picture. This picture's from 2013, I think.
I know. You're
the founder of RadarGaming.net.
Hey,
so inaccurate.
That's the text you gave me.
Where does this? I don't even know where this URL. Oh God, where does that go?
Uh-oh.
It redirects to. I know what happens. It redirects to thecrummyshow.com, which redirects to infectionpodcast.com. It's a triple redirect.
Perfect. Well, if you go to our website, other than Nick's incredible bio, it's highly accurate. You can go and check out.
Do you want to hear the rest of my bio?
All right, let's hear it.
I am very interested in gaming and technology. I'm also a fluent broadcaster and gamer. I don't play video games at all. That is a huge lie. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, you can rewrite it and then we'll get it updated.
I don't care
about that. But if you go on there, you can get a link to our Mixer. We have our Twitch or YouTube. So whatever platform you want to watch us live on, you can do that there. Or if you want to listen to us after the fact, we have all our podcast links in the lower right. We also have on there our Steam group. It gives a notification before the live show starts. So if you happen to be sitting at your computer, you can jump on and join us live, participate in the chat, participate in the game giveaway. Also, we have our Discord. If you want to submit news throughout the week, that's a great place to do that. We have a news channel. We also have channels that on the weekends when we're playing games throughout the week, people can just hang out, chat, and play various games. So on the left-hand side, we have our Support Us. If you want to support us through either Humble Bundle, so if you get anything through that, you can click our link, Amazon, and then, of course, the Twitch Primes here on Twitch.
Very cool.
That's it.
Yes, sir. We didn't play Game of the Week last week, but I did play some Call of Duty. I don't think I'm going to be around Friday. I think I have something going on Friday. Is there any particular games that did updates that you think are worthy of the coveted Game of the Week title?
I just don't know if we want to jump into Arc. They have their Thanksgiving event coming up. Dead by Daylight has an update.
Yeah, it's a test though.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's just throw it out. What we'll do is throw it out into Discord.
Yeah. For
people to kind of give a vote. We'll figure out what game we want to do, and then we'll just say in Discord, here's the game we're doing. So if you're interested, make sure you're in a Discord, and we'll announce it here in the next couple of days as people kind of look at what they want to play.
Yes.
And then next week's going to be Thanksgiving, so
yeah, I will
be out of town.
I'm off for work, which is cool. I do want to say, Brian.
Yes. We've
hit a milestone. Now we do all the joking about, big deal, all this news and whatnot. But we passed a very serious, in my opinion, a very serious milestone this past week. We have crossed the 100,000 download mark for our RSS audio version of the podcast, which I think is pretty cool. I don't think many people do podcasts that ever reach 100,000 unique downloads on the show, which is super cool.
And it took less than 100,000 episodes. So
yeah, I mean, I listen to at least every episode, so I was at least 250 of those downloads. So I want to thank everybody that obviously that listens to the audio version of the show, but people that are joining us here on Twitch, our friends over on YouTube, and the live audience that don't get pulled into those cumulative numbers. I'm sure it's upwards of 200,000. It's probably close to a quarter million people if you count in all the YouTube, all the Twitch stats, and all the other places that our content has been available over the past couple of years. So thanks everybody for the continued support. And I mean, as long as Brian tells me he wants to continue to do the show, we'll be here.
As long as I make it.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Brian makes it here in time. I want to thank our buddy Valp1 for hitting us up with the resubscription. I don't know why our little noise didn't go. There it is. Our little noise didn't go on there. Hey there, dudes. Hey, Valp. Hope you are doing well. And yeah, so a little bit of housekeeping there. But
and we did have some resubscribers during the week as well.
Okay, I didn't see any in Streamlabs.
All right, so we did have on the 14th we had Johnny Find.
Awesome.
On the 18th we had Falcon, and then we just had Valp, right?
Yes.
So those are the ones. Now the issue is if you came in here and subscribed and then you never hit the share button, that's one thing that we have noticed. If you just go and click the button and never click the share to chat, then we don't get a notification a lot of times. So it's very difficult for us to find it. So if you're coming in after hours, make sure you click share, even if you don't want to put a message or anything, because that will give us the notification to where we can actually say thank you.
Yes, bingo, boom, absolutely. And there is our buddy USAF Zombie saying, "Is this better?" ? Yes, perfect. We appreciate it. We appreciate everybody that supports us with Twitch Prime through all of our other things as well that Brian talked about at the beginning of the show. All right.
I think Maltaurus actually too.
Oh, wow.
He subscribed, I think, during the week.
Boom, shakalaka.
And Tag just subscribed.
You've created a monster.
And I think UGX. No, not UGX.
That was last week.
That was before. Okay, weeks. So I think we're caught up now.
Okay,
there we go.
Yes, if we missed you, don't feel like if we missed you, you deserve your rightful shout out on the program. Let us know. Just send me a message on Discord or tweet, whatever needs to be done. Just so
maybe someday Twitch will actually fix it to where we get notifications no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. You'd think so. What a novel concept. But on that note, Brian, we've got a lot of news here. A lot of it is non-necessarily survival news, but a lot of things that I think were rather interesting stories. And if it's all right with you, I would like to start off with a video. It's a little long. We'll play a little bit of it. A video that took place at the Esports Award, which I think Esports Awards, which happened, I think, Friday night, maybe, or Saturday night in LA or San Diego, one of those Southern California places. And there was a gentleman was nominated for an award, and he gave a shout out to some of his colleagues and whatnot. But I want to just play a little bit of what he had to say now, and this was targeted towards the esports community, but I think it draws a nice parallel into some of the things that we've talked about recently on this show. The status of, well, for lack of a better term, video game journalism. That's been the term that's been used. So take a listen to this.
Journalism.
This is Richard Lewis, who is an esports writer, and he had some interesting things to say.
Things I wanted to say. I know people have kept this speeches short. I'll try and do the same shit. I just want to say that I don't consider good journalism a competitive endeavor. I do consider, if you will accept it, I'm up here taking this award for everybody else in my field. There were some great names there. I'm real sorry it wasn't you guys. You will get your time. I got 2 of these. I won't get another one. There was a name that should have been on the list, though. Cecilia D'Anastasio. I just want you to know, if you're watching this stream, your work is valued. Your work is necessary. You could have just as easily been stood here giving a better speech than mine. So anyway, what I just want to talk about is why this award's important. Not my award that I won, because that would be narcissistic. All our awards. Because we have to look after ourselves. Because there's these external media companies, they're looking at esports, and they want to write the history, and they want to tell the stories. And you know who I'm talking about? Polygon, people like that, Waypoint. the Kotakus, right? And their approach to writing about our thing is twofold. They've consistently embarrassed themselves writing pieces that expose their complete ignorance about our scene, lack of sources, and unoriginal opinions on topics we have talked to death for 20 years. The second has been to write hit pieces and smears, mostly propagated on half-truths or out-and-out lies, and it's about some of you in this room. Give them hell. They write about it because they think if they get 1 or 2 or 12 of you out of the way, they can get their friends in, get their cronies in, take over and gatekeep our industry. So let's compare and contrast. The reason I'm stood here is probably one story. I wrote a story about a great guy, one of our best ambassadors, Rick Fox, who was receiving racial abuse while he was in Echo Fox. It's a disgrace what happened to him. I love that guy. We all owe him a great debt. That's the kind of story I want to break, and that's the kind of story I want to fight for. Let's have a look at some of their greatest hits from the mainstream games press. Well, outside of Cecilia's work, it's not great. There were the lies that they printed about a CSGO major event being a Trump rally because the journalist misread a sign. Great work. What about the time they all rallied around to stop abuse of a female Overwatch player? That didn't exist, which they would have found if they'd done a cursory fact check. And of course, there's the annual hit piece they write trying to cancel any one of you. Oh, what about that interview they did with the world's most popular streamer outside of a toilet? One throwaway quote still haunting him today. It's an outrage.
So that now obviously this was targeted towards the this was the esports award, and they were targeting this. This Richard Lewis gentleman is talking about mainstream gaming blogs infringing on the esports section, which they have differentiated as two very different things. But watching that, he could have made that exact same speech about video game journalism in general, and about how we talk about the stories based on half truths or complete flat out lies, and just the clear, for whatever reason, just either misinterpretation or misunderstanding of the industry. And this is something that in recent months, Brian, we've covered at least 2 shows a month. We've talked about a story, something that has popped up. If it wasn't the Blizzard strike, talk before the whole protest thing, when the workers were striking, we've covered all these different stories, Riot. And I just thought this video was rather interesting, calling out people like, and the 3 specific were Polygon, Waypoint, and in my opinion, the biggest offender of this all is Kotaku. And it was just rather interesting to see, even inside. We're not video game journalists. We don't pretend to be, but even inside this little group of people, in comparison, video game journalism, a subset of those people, the people that just do esports, even hate the rest of the video game journalists, just like you and I do, because most of them are full of shit, write inaccurate stories, and they just don't produce any good content. You go to the websites, it's just cesspools.
I mean, the thing that they're trying to do, though, is create a form of clickbait. That is their goal, is to create an article that the title is so outrageous, and then the things inside of it are outrageous. And really, when you come down to it, I think what he is originally at the beginning of his point was getting at is the fact that, okay, they are not really journalists. What he does is journalists, and therefore you're not competing against other journalists. You're trying to find a story, get it out there, and and have the story stand by itself. And what he is pointing at with these other companies is they're making opinion pieces, doing no research, and just trying to create the most outrageous article that's going to get shared and talked about. And even if they have to apologize afterwards, well, that doesn't matter. They got the views because they're so highly run on ads on their website and people clicking and viewing the article. That's all they care about. They don't care if 2 weeks from now, if the article is still valid or is proven accurate or inaccurate. That doesn't change the income that they made from those clicks. And I think that's the dangerous part.
It is. And I've got, I think, a rather unique perspective on this recently coming from the traditional media industry. I will say this. I don't know any of these people at any of these sites, but the writers themselves in most cases, are not the ones that are coming up with these out of thin air. They are being pushed very heavily by their editors and by their editors, the people high up in the companies, to just push out as much content as possible to get as many clicks. So I understand the point, and we've made the same point on this show before, but I think it's important to understand that in most cases, now in some cases you've got people that are just duly unqualified to be in the position that they're in writing for some of these outlets. But in other cases, you've got good people that are capable, that are unable to. Here's the thing about journalism, Brian, without getting into a whole tirade about it. To do good journalism, you're not pushing out a story every 3 days. It may take you 4 weeks to put out a single story. That's good journalism. From the traditional sense. This is both video game and just regular journalism in general, regular media journalism. You're not pumping out a story every day. But a media company can't afford to pay somebody
to do that.
Well, yeah, because a media company can't afford to pay somebody $120,000 a year to write articles 12 times a year. That's not an option.
No. Well, that's what they used to do back when there were magazines.
Yeah.
The times have changed, and that's the issue. Is now it's quantity over quality is what it's turned into. We just need to get as many, and they've got certain ones they do. I mean, they have ones where they say, "Oh, check out this cool new mouse or whatever," and then they have Amazon links, and
that
then they all
bother
say, "No, but I think they have a formula of, all right, you got to push out this much that does this kind of thing." You have certain people that push out a lot of politics. I mean, if you look at Kotaku right now, one of their top articles is about Trump.
About Trump. I was just going to say that. Was that my computer coming up with that or no? It's literally their top, their number one you also may like article is, did Trump flatline or what? What is the slot? That's one of their blogs.
Yeah.
Why is that on the front page of Kotaku?
Video game journalism. And so this is just one. Well, I mean, look, they got Jezebel up there. If you look, this is their. It is no longer about video games. I mean, honestly, for them, I think that Kotaku has made it very clear that this is a bunch of opinion pieces. It's things that are just supposed to make you click. They're throwing as much out there, hoping that some of it sticks as possible. And I guess I never see the ads.
Oh yeah, it's a Jezebel.
Blocker,
so. Hey, no, you're right. That was a Jezebel story that was on the front. That's hilarious. Huh.
So, but I mean, what's it showing on Kotaku for?
Well, because they own all these sites. So my point is,
but that's a feminist it's a feminist website. Why is it showing in the front of Kotaku?
Because they own all those webs.
Gaming reviews, news, tips, and more. That's Kotaku.
Well, that's I feel like they stole our headline. Okay, again, not in a lot of cases, not the fault of the individuals. This is the company, and we talked about this company a couple weeks ago because all the editors at Kotaku are going to stand up against their employer, which is great. If you're trying to lose your job, it's a great thing to do. If you're trying to keep your job, it's not. It's unfortunate that this is what it's come to, but it's not. And frankly, Brian, you're kind of to blame for this. What did you just say about Kotaku's homepage?
I said I have ad block on, so I don't see any of them.
That's, in some regard, that is, and believe me, I'm not just casting stones at you. I'm running the same ad blocker that you are. I'm to blame. I'm just as much to blame as you are. So This is a multifaceted problem. I read the comments on some of these YouTube videos, and I understand all the video game. This is a multifaceted issue. You've got big conglomerates that are buying up all these little blogs and trying to publish and get as many internal clicks as possible because they can generate way more money from clicks inside of their site than outside of their site. You've got people like us, and most of the gamers, people that are going to be browsing Kotaku are way more likely to be running ad blocker than people that are browsing Jezebel.com. So way more likely to be using an ad blocker. And then just the competitive nature of the scene. It's just unraveled. So it's a shame that it's come to this point. I think Richard Lewis made all valid points in his speech that he gave, receiving his award. But I think it's important to understand that this is a multifaceted issue, and at least to me, there is not really a solution. These sites will just, in my opinion, cease to exist, crumble, and then a new wave of actual gaming sites will come out of that. That's what I think. I don't see how Kotaku or Waypoint or Polygon really will exist into the future.
Well, they're going to have to figure out another way. I mean, people supporting used to be magazines people would pay to have them delivered, and even the newspaper. They're going to have to figure out, how do we get funded? You know, if people are interested in it, will people subscribe? I mean, they've been trying to figure out this whole paywall thing. These kind of sites have very few options, other than if they put out really good content, you know, people would support them more. But I think they've just gone for the mass. We're just going to go for clicks and throw as many ads on a page as we possibly can, just like local news sites have. If you look at your local news channel, have you ever looked at their website?
Oh yeah, it's garbage.
It's just covered in ads. And so I think that that's been kind of the guaranteed way. But I think that if you get some of these huge conglomerates out of this type of news media, and you get it to where you actually have reporters and make it to where a site like this doesn't need millions of dollars to run, then I think that it's going to be less of an issue. I mean, but the problem is they're owned by giant companies now.
So here's a great example. So here's Kotaku's Alexa ranking, which is a website traffic ranking. In the last 90 days, they went from 1,209 to 2,072. They dropped 800 points, 865 points in their Alexa ranking over the past 90 days. And they're not the only one. Let's look at Polygon, who's another one that was brought up. They're down 400 points over the last 90 days. None of these sites are trending upwards. I mean, let's look at IGN. They may be the only one that's trending upwards, if I had to guess. Nope, they're trending down as well. Not as much. They're from 427 to 541, but they're trending down as well. 100. Go ahead.
What about like PCGamer.com?
PCGamer.com. Let's see. PCGamer.com is...
That's one where I see less outrageous articles on. So
they're down 200. It's just the industry thing in general. These sites are all dropping in popularity because there's, I think... So, Brian, small sample size, and I don't want to spend the whole show on this, but I think it's important. Small sample size. Our Discord. What do we got? A couple hundred people in there? 3, 4, 500 people maybe total? I don't know anybody in there that actively reads these websites. Now, I'm sure there are, but from the active group of people that are in our Discord server, which are people that are active enough that they listen to a podcast about video games, and then they are in a Discord about the podcast that they listen to about video games. Small subset of people. Very similarly minded people in terms of video games and technology, for the most part. I don't know I have not talked to a single person that's like, you know what I do when I wake up every morning? The first thing I do is check IGN.com or PCGamer.com or Kotaku or Polygon. I don't know anybody that goes to these websites. Outside of this show, I do not visit any of these websites.
Well, and I think part of the issue is that they've shot themselves in the foot by writing opinion pieces for too long, to where you don't really take it seriously. You don't think you're going to get, I mean, it used to be you would go look at things because you thought that you were going to get some piece of information that wasn't available anywhere else, or you would learn something. There would be some information that they were able to dig up that just wasn't common knowledge. And now with opinion pieces, and most of these sites are writing about information from another place, and anyways,
Isn't that funny?
So it's like on this website, they're giving opinion on an article on another website. It's like, well, now, if I see that they're writing about another article, I go straight to that article and I just skip Kotaku or any of these other ones.
Yeah.
And I think that they've got it to where, and probably because their budgets are down, I think that they don't really go out and bother digging. They have to put out so many articles. They don't have time to really figure out and dig in. Like that guy in the clip was saying, he is an actual journalist. He takes time and discovers a story. He finds the truth underneath of it. And I think that these guys just don't have time for that. And they've stopped. I mean, what cool, other than them getting a quote, which we've seen how they do interviews. I mean, they're not in there. It's all, here's the standard questions I'm going to ask you. I already pretty much know the answers you're going to give me. I've probably already have the article written before I even go do the interview. But that's kind of what we got from PAX, is just seeing these guys. They're not really trying.
When they're not passionate. They don't care. I mean,
No,
I'll tell you
they're
this.
bored out of their mind.
Yeah, and I mean, not to toot our own horn, but I think if you're watching our group walk around PAX, hopefully not on Saturday morning, but any other of the days, if you're watching our group walk around the show floor of PAX, you see a level of, now, to be fair, I don't work in the industry every day. So
Yeah.
like anything else, that industry becomes very tiresome. And even if it's something you love to do, at some point it's a job and you have to do it. That aside, you can tell the difference between the people that are, you can tell the difference between the people that are there because they want to be there in terms of the journalism side of it, and then the people that are just there because it was their assignment to go to this show. And we saw it.
Yeah.
Very, very clearly.
Yep.
It was blatantly obvious who was there for what specific reasons.
Yep. And so I think that this is just, it's something that's been culminating over time, and here you go. I think they're going to continue to struggle and become less and less relevant because people don't bother. You look at some of the ones, there's websites around the internet that actually break news. They've got people that are making phone calls, they're getting secret interviews with internal employees, and
Massively OP comes to mind. Those guys do a hell of a job.
Yeah, and they'll get information that nobody else has.
Yeah.
And I think that these guys have lost that ability. And who wants to give a quote to Kotaku where they know they're probably going to misquote them and they're trashing them all the rest of the time? Like, who's going to give them that quote? I think they've destroyed their reputation too much to be able to be serious journalists anymore.
It's a shame. I will say something I've always recommended to people. If there is a website that you visit frequently that you like the content of, PC Gamer, Massively OP, Exclusive Games, one of those websites, put that in your ad blocker whitelist. Disable the ad blocker on that website. You may not think it matters at all. We don't have ads on our website, but I know for a fact that makes a huge difference and it means a lot to those content creators. So with that being the case, I thought that was a rather interesting video and his full speech.
And I just want to make
Go ahead.
one quick point, though. Like, if you look at the article titles and the article's content on various, like, for instance, PC Gamer.
Yeah.
PC Gamer sometimes will have, an article that goes off and does whatever. But for most of the time, they're talking about a specific thing in either a game or a piece of hardware or something. They'll be talking about very specific things and have it less of a opinion piece.
This all looks like either news or reviews.
Yes. And so PC Gamer has not gone down that path, but you've seen also they were one of the ones that were actually upticking, in the however long it has been in that graph. And so I think that that's a big difference is here you've got one that actually is stuck to writing about games, hardware, real topics. And then you've got another one where it's just
the first post is about the president of the United States on Kotaku.com.
Yeah, and then it's opinion pieces and just things that are way off base. I mean, I brought up some of them and said, why in the world are they even writing about this? It's puff pieces.
Get clicks.
So I think that over time you'll see the ones that survive are PC Gamer, Massively OP, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, IGN's top article right now says that the PS5 controller likely isn't changing that much, and that's okay. That's your head story.
But that's like that's not even they
news.
don't even know what it looks like yet.
Yeah.
It's an opinion piece. Likely. You hear likely.
They're basing it off of patent
it's
drawings.
an opinion piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they don't know. Another one of their top articles. The original Baby Yoda is just as cute as the one in The Mandalorian. Okay, that's another opinion piece. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are opinion piece. It's frustrating.
Brian, why don't you quit your recently gotten job and go become a writer? I mean, you could fit right in over here.
Yeah. All I have to do is write my opinion all the time.
Pull stuff out of your ass 5 days a week. You're good to go.
I don't have to do any research.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I'll just browse other websites and write opinions on their articles.
On Polygon, they said.
Yeah. And let me tell you why this is, and then I'll put in a political point that obviously I don't believe.
So interesting little thing there. We've covered it a lot on the show in the past, so I thought I'd bring it up there. Full videos on our website, infectionpodcast.com. Speaking of video game journalism, Brian, I saw a lot of very, very negative reviews about Google Stadia, which we talked about 2 weeks ago. And I want to quote the headline over at Ars Technica, which says, Stadia launch dev, game makers are worried, quote, Google is just going to cancel it.
What are you talking about? They've never done that before.
We're not going to have it again because we had it a couple weeks ago. We had a very long conversation about this exact same thing.
Yep.
This is not ready. There's no market for it. It does not make sense. I don't see how this thing survives 2 years.
Yep. And then that's the thing is Google is known for this. I mean, Google throws it out there, does some tests with it, and then they fold it. They folded Google Plus. They folded Hangouts for as we know them. They had the blogging platform. They've had the RSS reader.
FeedBurner still exists.
No. But there was a reader.
Google News.
Yeah,
it's kind of gone away.
Well, no, they had one called reader.google.com where you could view all your RSS feeds, which I loved, and they canceled it. And so it's just like, they've gone through and just
it's gone.
They cancel things. It's so I can understand why people would be nervous. Yeah, you see, sorry, thanks for coming by. We closed down in 2013.
Jesus.
Wow. So this is something where why would you buy something on their platform? I mean, other than the Google Play Store, which I'm fairly confident is going to stick around.
Oh, Android is solid.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's I can understand that. I would buy things on the Google Play Store.
The Google Home is a solid device.
Yeah.
Chromecast, solid device.
But most of their other services that are kind of tests, I'd be pretty nervous about throwing money on something that's supposedly permanent, buying an actual game. Maybe a subscription service, I'd be willing to, say, all right, I'll subscribe to something. And then, it's a temporary service. And if it goes away, I'm not out anything, but I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars on a Google platform for something that's probably not going to stick around.
Yeah. The press on this has just not been positive at all. There's a whole bunch of features that are not on the service day one that were supposed to be, including the achievement system, the ability to use existing Chromecast Ultras, which a lot of people already had and were told, hey, this is going to work. Nay. It's not available yet. Family sharing, buddy passes. Some people are not getting their Stadia controllers. There's been a delayed shipment. It's just not been a good. I did before the show go to all of the normal gaming websites that we talk about, that we just bashed a bunch of, and all the articles were negative about Stadia. I didn't see one that was like, it's great. I didn't see that article anywhere. So just a lot of issues.
But the thing is, how's it really that different currently from something like PS Now? And you can do similar things with Xbox. How is that really different? Because I don't think these games are really taking advantage of the incredible hardware advantages that are going to happen behind the scenes. These are just modern games being placed on here, not games that are actually designed to take advantage of the infrastructure that could be possible on something like this. So I don't think that people are really seeing what it really could be yet. But if it doesn't take off well, studios are probably going to be very reluctant to throw a bunch of money and time into something that doesn't seem to be well accepted.
Yeah.
So it may never get fully taken advantage of.
No, and it probably, in my opinion, it won't. Just we covered it extensively. So yeah, there you go. Keep an eye out on Stadia. If you've got Stadia, I know obviously a bunch of people have. If you've got it and we're either totally wrong or you've got some news that or some opinions that we don't, send us a note. You can send us an email, contact@infectionpodcast.com, or tweet us, direct message Brian and myself, or just post something in our general Discord. I'd love to hear from somebody that's actually using it. So that's Stadia launched today, I believe, earlier today.
One thing I saw an article pointing out that, and this is on PC Gamer, which we just talked about, and it was saying that there's a hint that maybe GTA 6 is coming in the summer of 2020.
Okay.
So they actually had this group called City Morgue, which is a hip hop group, put out on Instagram a thing that said at Rockstar Games summer 2020, and then it had their logo. It was like a wristband or something like that, some sort of little
interesting.
But and this will be a group that's on one of the radio stations
of
GTA 6. And so I'm wondering if this is a hint that we will actually see GTA 6 in 2020.
Heyo.
Which is weird. I figured they'd be already hyping it at this point.
They would, if they follow the Red Dead and prior GTA cycle. It would be right, probably between now and the end of the year, maybe early next year. So, Brian,
You're saying as far as release date?
No, as far as announcing it, beginning to talking about it. Yeah. Now we do know that summer 2020 could be September 31st. I mean, some could construe that as summer 2020. So we could still be a year away. I would expect, if that's actually the case, I would expect something in the next couple months, 3 months maybe.
And and the thing is, when is the I know this is all a guess, but with the new PlayStation, I mean, is that something that we may actually see in the summer of 2020 as well?
No, because
I would think Rockstar, knowing Rockstar, I think they'll release in the previous console, sell all the copies on the PS4, and then the new console comes out, and then they'll resell it again to everybody on the new PS5.
I own $200 worth of copies of GTA. I own it on the Xbox 360, Xbox One, and on PC.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm guessing they're probably 6 months ahead of at least.
That's what GTA 5 was. That's exactly what GTA 5 was.
So and so that would be a good idea that possibly in the winter of 2020 we may see the
holiday
PS5,
which is always when it's been in the past, November-ish.
Yeah. So anyways, I thought that was interesting. Haven't seen a lot of kind of leaks or information giving anything solid, but this was kind of odd that they put this out there, and it really did seem to hint at something coming out in summer 2020 from Rockstar. And I can't think of anything else other than this group being on the GTA 6 playlist.
Los Santos Rock Radio. Let's talk about a couple survival games. We've got some other general news that we'll come back to here when we hit our halfway point. But I saw an interesting tweet. I want to credit the right individual. Give me 1 second here, Brian. Very prepared as always. Haru the Ninja posted a link to the Miscreated Twitter handle, and they put out a new screenshot here saying it's getting close. New map, new items, new AI, new vehicles, new events, and new features. For now, though, feast your eyes on this beauty. And this is the Miscreated desert style map, which, looking at it, does not look like Miscreated at all. Doesn't seem like Miscreated at all, and has a very different vibe, almost like a complete remake of a game. What do you notice anything specific about this screenshot that you find interesting? The town looks relatively, decently populated. What do you think about this art style, though? Does this make sense for a survival game, it being such a barren wasteland?
I mean, it really depends. I mean, it really depends, because I'm assuming with the zombies and the AI, they're going to have it to where they're kind of gathered around these cities more, which they somewhat do. I mean, in Miscreated, in the current map, you could run around in the forest and out in the middle of nowhere, and you generally don't see zombies that much. So that's very similar. I mean, I think there's a lot of breakup in the regular map, the original map, to where you don't see it very far out in the distance. I think that's going to be the big difference here. Is we're used to people kind of running around, and then you happen to just come across somebody very close up, usually. in Miscreated because they're going through buildings, or you happen to come out of the trees and there's someone there. This one, I think it'd be very difficult to escape someone because someone will be able to track you, and I think that could create some interesting, a different type of dynamic, and maybe a little bit different PvP in comparison to the original map.
Do you think this is too much of a polar opposite? You're going from, let me get an old picture up, but
look at their player numbers though. I think they don't have much to lose.
I agree. You are going from, I'm trying to find a good image.
And people can run either map.
True, but like a lot of other things, the map is going to be free, so you're going to see probably most people running the new map. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, at least for a while.
So I mean, you're going from
unless they fix a lot of things,
you're going from something like this, which you can just see the amount that all the trees in the distance, all of the foliage on the ground, just a very limited line of sight for the most part,
and a lot of height variation to break it up.
To this, where you just have flat land and then plateaus every once in a while. It seems like you are going from one extreme, very heavily populated, with assets, trees, rocks, rivers, streams, buildings, to desert wasteland. Is that too much? Does that make sense? Is it going to change the game completely?
Not if they create a decent number of ways to move around the map. First of all, they don't have high player counts on their maps in general anyways.
That's true.
There's not, they don't have 100+ people on their maps. And so I think if they have a giant map like that, and then they create sufficient ways to actually traverse the map to where it doesn't feel so overly big, it could really make a much more positive. Because right now, if you look at the original, you tend to traverse the map very slowly.
Yes.
Building by building, running everywhere. Vehicles are so difficult to come across. Ones with 4 wheels.
No bike.
There's the bikes just glitched at the ground, and I don't even remember if they take them out. I think that I know they took them out for a while. I don't know if they ever got put back in, but it's just the traveling in that game was so difficult where you never really got to get to the point where you felt like the map was small, right? Which I guess is kind of a benefit, but it got so frustrating that for us to group up and find each other, it was just a nightmare. But you have a big open map like this, I think it'll be very difficult just to run across the map without somebody possibly finding you. So I think that if they really are fixing PvP and gunplay and all this stuff, make it to where people can move around the map and come across each other in vehicles. They can be driving across the map and see somebody who's running through the desert. Like, I think they're going to have to make that, and that way there will be more PvP. Make it so where people can get vehicles to where then if they die and they spawn halfway across the map, they have the ability to get back to the fight. That's something that does not happen right now. You die and it's like, all right, well, never see those guys again, most likely, unless I run back for 20 minutes back to that town. It's just, it's not PvP friendly. And I think that they could do a lot. If they make it PvP friendly, I think that people will like the map.
We've talked about in the past, and we've said this relentlessly, so I don't blame people for not taking our word worth anything anymore. We've said a million times how in my opinion, all of the pieces of the puzzle for a good game exist in Miscreated. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that. At least enough of the pieces of the puzzle that you can say, okay, this is a puzzle. The only thing that's been the same has been the map. Now they've redone base building, they've redone zombie AIs and mechanics. They've redone. I mean,
they did add big sections. They added that city to the top.
They did, but it was
that was a pretty impressive. They added new sections to it. So, but they had the original map and they expanded it out and kind of finished it.
Yeah. Do you think this new map with this new launch is going to give them the boom that they likely need to continue development on a long-term basis?
Not if they don't fix gunplay and all those things. I think that is the true issue. is the gunplay. I think it's all those issues that they run into with the difficulties in getting ammo for weapons and reloading weapons and firing weapons, and just I think a lot of it comes down to the gunplay in this game. It's a pain. It doesn't feel natural. You feel like you're fighting against the system. People don't really sit there and do gunfights. I mean, you'll have people come in and bam, 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 everybody's dead, then it's over. Where we remember the H1Z1 days, we would just have all out battles at our bases. Look at what makes Rust so popular.
Die and respawn, die and respawn, die and respawn.
People have all out battles at their bases, and that has made Rust highly successful. These people have done the opposite. They've done everything opposite of Rust, which is way more successful. They did everything opposite of H1Z1, which back then was more successful
in comparison to the times. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the thing is but then H1Z1 started to change and to go away from that. I think if they looked at Rust and didn't view them as competition, but say, look at what is Rust doing right. Well, one thing Rust really focuses on, they'll give you a bow and arrow. There's just anything to kill the other person. Like they'll get that in your hands, and here it's like they do the opposite. They do everything they can to keep a weapon out of your hands, and that's just strange in a PvP survival game. But I don't think they consider it a PvP survival game. There happens to be PvP in it.
Yeah.
I think that there's probably one or multiple people on your development team are trying to stay truly. They're trying to stick to some original thing that they're founded it on, and are not wanting to compromise. And you know what? If for them having a game that ends up not truly being successful and not being what it could have been, if that's what they're willing to sacrifice that, then whatever, it's their game. But they shouldn't be surprised if people don't come and play it in the mass that you would see in Rust.
It's a tough situation because the other side of that conversation is, well, yeah, Brian, this is not a arcadey shoot 'em up. It's supposed to be complicated. It's supposed to be this, which is fine. And as you just said, if that's the style of gameplay they're going for, more power to you. But now, and to be fair to Miscreated's credit, they don't bitch about player count or player number or lack of support from the community. They may be more than content where they currently are with their current players. And if that's the case, then you and I guess just need to shut up and they need to continue to make their game. But I personally
they're making their own game, but I think that they could have a much wider appeal without compromising the morals of their game.
Yeah.
I mean, fix your gunplay. That you can't tell me that very poor gun mechanics is a selling point of your game, or sticking to any type of...
The Arma people will. They'll die in the cross for that, Brian. They'll die in the cross that it's a military sim. I'm not trying to get into a whole Arma argument, but there is a whole group of people that will die on that cross.
Yeah. And I think these are some of the people from Miscreated are some of the old school Arma people. There are throwbacks from Arma in Miscreated. And I think that that is part of the issue, is you've got these people that are old Arma people. You want to know what? PUBG has moved away from the Arma feel. A lot of these games that kind of felt very much like Arma have been moving away from it because people don't care about Arma anymore. They want a game that actually feels nice. They're not looking, and they're not going to take a military sim as an excuse anymore.
Yeah.
You can't say the mechanics are bad because we're a sim. No, there's games that have a lot of complexity in their movement, and in their menu systems and their interaction that don't feel like that.
Yeah. Everything you said, I pretty much agree with. I don't really have anything I can argue with on that. So, looking forward to the new Rust map. I'm hoping, as I've hoped in the past, that something like this can kind of bring them to whole new highs. on terms of player counts and sales and profit and everything like that. So looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll be able to chat with them with that new map.
Very good.
Let's see. What else do we have on the survival front? You mentioned it earlier, Brian. You mentioned Rust. We don't normally cover Rust at the beginning part of the show, but it was a big update, big announcement for Rust this week, and it is that they are coming to a new platform. So let's take a look at this this video from our friends over at Rust and the new platform that they are coming to. So there it is. Rust coming to the PS4 in 2020. You know what I found interesting about that, Brian? Is unlike a lot of other gameplay trailers, if you noticed, I'll scrub through it real quick, you noticed the reviews were not from gaming websites. They were all player reviews. Every single one of the reviews in the game about this is the most compelling experience I've ever had. The one there was one over here I found funny. It said this game is the reason I have trust issues, or something like that. And all of those were player reviews, which is not something I don't think I've ever seen before. Normally, we see IGN says this, GameSpot says this, Kotaku says this. I thought this was an interesting approach to saying to hell with all these guys. Let's put our players in the now. They obviously cherry pick those reviews. But I thought that was pretty cool.
They actually had Shadowfrax make that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
my man. Good for him, dude.
So Shadowfrax made that, and so that's the thing is rather than having a marketing company come up with, all right, let's make something for this game and let's quote all of the top, irrelevant now blog. Let's have someone who actually talks about this and knows this, and he knows what is going to, for Rust players, he knows what's going to get them excited.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that they let him do that, and he was able to do that for them. That you're looking at a guy that just started a YouTube channel essentially to make videos about Rust, and is now made their official launch trailer for the PlayStation 4. That is incredible. That's so freaking cool.
So I think that with that, this game I think will do very well on PS4.
Oh yeah.
I think for the type of, not that Rust is casual, but Rust is casual in that, you loot stuff and you just kill people a lot.
It's arcadey.
And you can, it's arcadey. Yeah, not casual, but arcadey. And I think that is something that will really cater to the PS4 and eventually the Xbox. So I think it'll be good. It'll be good for them.
Now, I don't know how this game is not on the Xbox, right?
No, I don't think so.
So I wonder how the servers are going to work. They're going to have to be their own servers, right? There's no way they'll allow crossplay.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. It really depends. First of all, Rust is built on Unity, if I remember correctly.
It is.
So it'll have a decent amount of capabilities to do things. It'll just be whether or not they want to do it. I mean, the games that we've really seen crossplay work really well on so far, I think have mostly been Unreal games. But I don't know why they wouldn't be able to get this to work if they really wanted to between PC. Other than I get nervous when they start mixing aim assist and mouse.
Yeah. I haven't noticed
That's a very tough tough thing to
especially in a
do
game
well.
like this. In Call of Duty, I don't think it really matters all that hell of a lot because you're just respawning and dying so much. But in this game, it does. I do find this interesting. This may shed a little insight. There's a Q&A on the PlayStation blog, and it says, part of the joy of Rust is finding or hosting a regular map to play on. Will PlayStation players be able to rent their own servers? Definitely. It is important for us to allow players to take ownership and configure their servers to their own preferences. So I would assume they're going to do the Arc, because Arc is not cross-platform, from what I understand.
I don't think so.
It's not. And that would make sense to keep these platforms separate. In my opinion.
Yeah, and that way the voice chat, because that's one thing that generally doesn't work well, is voice chat between on cross-platform systems until eventually I think that will be corrected. But we're kind of in that transition period right now, especially with the PS4, to where they just really opened it up, and there's not a lot of systems out there yet. And so I think that at some point you will start to see decent cross-platform voice chat and features. But I think right now it makes sense to keep them all separate just because people want to troll each other and they want, this is Rust.
Boogly, boogly, boogly.
So, they want to be able to talk to them and just trash talk. So.
Yeah. So yeah, that's super cool. I'm glad, and it's interesting that they went PlayStation instead of Xbox. I would have pegged this to go to Xbox first.
I mean, I assume there's some money on the line.
Yeah, there is. I find it
okay.
It seems like more of an Xbox, Microsoft, Windows kind of all around experience than it does a PlayStation. I don't know. Maybe that's just my personal preference.
I was trying to think of some of the various titles that we saw at the PlayStation booth. For instance, The Forest was at the PlayStation booth, and I don't know. Maybe I wonder if we're going to see like a Rust VR or something, because that PlayStation's really going for the VR. I'm wondering if the Rust would be a game that actually worked well for VR. I mean, you got bows and arrows. It could be interesting.
Are you out of your mind?
Imagine it. It's already first person.
I mean, you want to talk about like a serious headache? You want to talk about like getting sick because of motion and like things going on? Explain to me how crashing your quadcopter like a jackass because you don't know how to fly is going to work in VR.
Who would do that?
Some retard would do that. Yeah, I think, I don't know. Okay. We've got enough time. When I think of a game like Rust, I think of something that is still in development, right? Something that's not finished. Those typically seem to go to Xbox, while PlayStation, I think, gets some of the more polished stuff later on. Minecraft's a great example. Ark is a great example. Atlas is a great example. All of those games first existed on Xbox, and then some of them have transitioned over to PlayStation.
Yeah.
I mean, am I crazy in that? It just seems like PlayStation is less likely for these.
I think that Rust, maybe they haven't announced it, but I think that Rust is fairly complete.
It is complete, but it's just...
Now, okay, one thing, they released a paid DLC this week, or they've announced a paid DLC that's going to be in the next week or two.
Okay, what are they doing?
Remember those instruments that we were talking about? We saw instruments.
Yeah.
They're releasing those on Steam on December 5th.
The wheelbarrow?
Yeah, so like the wheelbarrow piano and all the drum set, the guitar that's out of a
shovel. That's badass.
Shovel.
I like that.
You know, they've got bones that made
xylophones.
Xylophones. Yeah, xylophones. I mean, a trumpet that's made out of like a
copper pipe and
oil. Yeah, oil funnel. I mean, it's also ridiculous. And a jerry can guitar.
What is
pan flute?
The sousaphone. What is that made out of?
Sousaphone.
Is it a?
I mean, it's like plumbing pipe.
Oh, it's like a furnace or something, like a heating pipe or something.
Yeah, it's like plumbing piping and
then the cowbell, of course, which is a must.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's something that they're releasing.
Oh, this is great. This looks like some Trailer Park Boys stuff. A tambourine instead of Rouse's cans. Oh, geez, Rick. That's cool. I like this.
So this is something that will be out. It's going to be $10.
That's cool.
It says with a launch discount, so who knows how much it'll be. But yeah, so this is let me look. I don't know if they've done any other paid DLCs.
I mean, you can pay for items from the shop. I don't know if there's a piece of
yeah,
DLC,
but those are
though.
kind of separate.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking to see if there's any other DLCs. Nope, that's the only DLC for the game.
What I find interesting is now we've seen a couple of games that have done this. Conan, I think, does this really well. And with Rust, this is the same thing, right? The people that are going to buy this are going to be the people that really like the game, support the game,
play it all the time,
like the development, play it all the time, right? And when you build DLC around that, you deal with a lot less of the bullshit of releasing regular DLC, which is marketed for everybody, which is, oh, your game isn't complete and you're looking for more money. And it's just, we saw it with Ark. Every time Ark released a DLC, we saw that. You don't have to deal with that when you do stuff like this. Conan doesn't have to deal with that. The other game I think of, Unturned, is that free-to-play game. You can buy like the Nelson's game. You can buy the gold key upgrade, or at least I did in like 2013 or whatever, and it was like $10, and it's just like, there's no reason to really buy this except for supporting the development. Now you get some stuff in return, but is the literal pan flute going to change your gameplay experience in any way whatsoever? No. But I bet you they'll make hundreds of thousands of dollars selling this DLC, and rightfully so, because it's a damn good game. And these guys bust their ass for what, $30 is what you pay for it? $25 maybe?
And they put out their one more consistent updates. I mean, this is one thing that they've created. This is a game that people say, oh, it's definitely an alpha, but I think if they fixed the game and truly made it smooth, people would be mad. I mean, part of what people love about it is the jankiness of the game, which is kind of crazy. So, and it's just like, CSGO, they memorize the guns and how they fire. I think a lot of this is the skill gap is people learn how to work those bows. They learn how to work those weapons that are kind of janky. And those are the people that really excel at the game. And so, I don't know. I don't think they're looking to truly fix this game.
Yeah.
I think sometimes they're making it just more and more ridiculous.
Absolutely. So, there's Rust.
Which sells.
Yeah, it does sell. New DLC coming soon, TM? Is there
the 10th?
The 10th, okay. 10th of December, so 3 weeks or so. That'll be out, and then it is coming to the PS4.
Or sorry, the 5th of December. I take that back. 5th of
Remember, the 5th of December. So about 2 weeks on that. And then coming to the PS4 in 2020. So great news from Rust. That's awesome for them. And it's going to bring, as I always say, opening it to the PC market is going to bring a whole new group of players, which is only going to improve the game, the development. There's not really a negative.
Yeah.
So
if you like it, support it. You'll get the instruments.
Yeah, I think,
and if
we have to.
If
right?
they get enough of this, then they'll turn around and they'll make more stuff like this. Yeah. And they put a lot of time into this. It's not just like a regular update thing. And I think it's kind of an extra above and beyond.
Yeah.
Just for your enjoyment of hanging out with your friends and messing around and doing all the things that kids that age do in Rust.
Kids that age. You play Rust, Brian. You're an old man.
I have played Rust.
I'll tell you what. I'm buying this, no questions asked. Next time we play Rust, like when we're going to schedule to play Rust, I'll pick up this DLC. There's just no reason not to if you really enjoy the game. So with that, Brian, as I do during the show, I don't really pay attention, right? That's why I've been accused of that in the past. Well, I got a buzz on my phone here, and it was an email, and it was from a listener, Kevin, who just sent this in, and he says, "Hey guys, I think the podcast is great. I subbed back during the H1Z1's release, and have been listening here and there since. Big fans of the show. You guys keep running things. Keep it up." So, cool note from Kevin. Good. We appreciate that, and he is definitely part of the 100,000 unique downloads that we crossed this week. So thanks, Kevin. We appreciate it, and everybody else's continued support. Now, we've got a new game. This is the first time I've seen this game on the list, Brian. What is this? This is scary to me. This does not say Ark. It doesn't say Atlas. It doesn't say H1Z1 or Miscreated or Unturned. This is a new game. I had to check my spell checker here to make sure you didn't misspell something. What is this?
So this is a game called Grounded.
Okay.
And it's a survival game, and it's kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids as far as you're really small. You're in this giant world, and it's Obsidian that's made it. They did Fallout New Vegas. They just released Outer Worlds, which seems to be doing very well.
Very well.
But they have a video. I don't know if you want to play that really quick. This is their announcement video. It's like a minute and a half, just over a minute and a half. But this is a game. First, I've really seen it this week, and it looks like it could be an interesting game if they do it right.
All right, let's wait for this. I feel like
play it with Xbox Game Pass.
Could that be any fucking louder at the end of that video? What I found that kind of reminded me of I know you're a little older than me, Brian. A Bug's Life, which was a very popular movie when I was a child. I got a little of a Bug's Life vibe.
And Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was more popular when I was a child.
No idea what that even is. So.
Oh my goodness. You'll have to watch it on. I don't know if it's on Netflix.
I'm sure I can't find. There's nowhere else on the internet I could possibly find it if it's not on Netflix. I mean, that'd be illegal. I couldn't do that. So what? Okay, so for our audio listeners, what did we just watch?
So I mean, this looks like a survival game based on. I mean, your children in. For those who haven't seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, pretty much you have 4 characters that were part of an experiment in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and then you're shrunk down. And so here with this experiment has caused it to where now you have to try to survive in what's like a backyard. So you've got giant spiders and ants and bugs and all the things that you would expect to have in some world where now everything is just huge. And so it's kind of it looks like somewhat casual, but they have crafting, base building, a bunch of resources that you have to gather. You have to hunt, cooking. So, and this is not a small studio. Obsidian is, I mean, they've released one of the biggest games right now, the Outer Worlds. And so I think that this will be an interesting thing. This is going to be, I think, exclusive to Xbox first, not on PS4 if I pretty much saw that. But it will be on PC as well. And this is a small team doing this. This is about a 12-person team. So it's not going to be some gigantic game. But I think that, with the tools now, I think that if they have a experienced team, they'll be able to make some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, this looks interesting. It does seem, it does look to be more of a console game.
Yeah.
Just from so like you as a character appear to be a child. It seems to be more of a, really, it looks like a children's version of Rust, Brian. I mean, kind of what it strikes me as. So and this is coming out spring, so this is relatively
spring of 2020.
soon. So 6 months maybe before we have this, 5 months.
Yep.
And now you say it's coming to PC, but it's likely not going to be on Steam. It's going to be on the.
No, it'll be on Steam.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be on Steam Early Access.
Okay, cool. It's not on Xbox's.
Nope.
Microsoft's attempted launcher.
Microsoft.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's something to look forward to, and that is called Grounded.
Grounded.
And there's a link to the trailer and an article from The Verge on our website, infectionpodcast.com.
Very good. All right. Well, speaking of a game that who knows if it'll ever come out, Valve actually announced that they're putting out a new Half-Life. Now,
but wait.
but this is going to be a VR game based on Half-Life. So this is something that I don't think is what people were wanting. It's not a Half-Life 3 or whatever. But this will be.
What do you mean, or whatever?
I mean, people will take anything Half-Life, I thought, but except for maybe a VR game, because most people don't have VR and they don't really care. I know that Valve has really pushed on Portal. VR. I think they want VR to work so well, but I think they just haven't. First of all, released enough titles on it, and their hardware is not accessible. So. I don't know. We'll see. But at least they're doing something. I don't know if this is a hint that there's going to be another Half-Life coming out. But they will be showing it at the Game Awards on December 12th. So we'll have some video of it.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's towards the end of the year. I totally forgot about that.
And November 19th, which today marks the 21st anniversary of the original Half-Life.
Yeah, you would think I would have thought, I was expecting rather, this whole thing. I first saw this morning I saw somebody post in Discord like Half-Life. I was like, VR.
Who knows? It'll probably be some gimmicky thing. It's really hard to say.
Valve, I don't believe they have another VR product. Do they? Are they the first party studio on a VR game?
But I mean, they have VR hardware.
They do, but I'm saying they haven't developed anything from what I understand.
Didn't they do something with Portal? Didn't they do VR stuff with Portal?
Portal VR? I have no idea. Portal VR.
I thought there was.
Portal Stories on VR. Yeah, no, this is not them. This is somebody else. I don't believe so.
Okay. I always thought that they were going to try to release Portal on VR, but they've not really released anything. So
yeah, I find that to be rather interesting. A little late to the game, maybe?
I mean,
do people really care about? Okay, obviously, the internet meme is Half-Life 3. We get it, right? Everybody's in full agreement. Do people really care that much about Half-Life? I don't think so.
Well, if they came out with 3, it would be people would be all stoked about it.
Okay.
But they could never live up to the expectations of what people expect.
But my point is, it's the meme Half-Life 3 has sailed over the actual people that I think are actually interested in Half-Life 3, right?
I don't think people really care anymore about Half-Life 3, just because I think people know they would be let down by whatever they release. The hype has become so big that no matter what they release, if they released Half-Life 3, it would not live up to, because I don't think Valve is willing to put the time into things anymore like they used to.
Yeah, I don't really care. Like, if Half-Life 3 was to come out tomorrow, it'd be cool because it'd be like, the internet. Finally, we did it. But I mean, I sure as hell wouldn't buy it.
But people that are really into the original Half-Life, though, they love the story. And I think that people want to hear the end. They want to continue that story.
Yeah.
But if you're not really into that, you don't really care. And I don't think that your average consumer, they probably would play it and say, it's not that good. There's plenty of other games. But you would have a hardcore dedicated set of people that are really into it.
Yeah. Well, that's it's one way to do it, Valve, I guess. I don't really know.
We'll see what this actually does.
Yeah. All right. with that, it is about halfway through the program. Do you do we have a game to give away?
Yes. So what I'll do is we'll do this one for exclamation point giveaway, 60 points. So if you've been listening for the last hour, that means that you can enter for this. And I'm going to be giving away a copy of, well, let me get the right link up, 1111 Memories Retold. And this currently is a $30 title. So if you're interested, here's a link for it. I'll put that in our chat. But this is a adventure casual World War I story rich game. It's got very positive ratings, and it's 1916. A young photographer leaves Canada to join the Western Front in Europe, and then it's a story based on that. So if you're interested in that, it's $30 currently, exclamation point giveaway, and then we'll do that before the end of the show.
Yes, absolutely. We will we'll go ahead and do that. It looks like maybe Twitch is having an issue. I see my Twitch stream popping up and down. Yes, please enter for that. If you're not here live, you should be. We are here live every Tuesday, right around 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/infection podcast. All right. Quick note here. So we were just speaking about Valve and Steam and the things that they're working on. A game that we talked about a very long time ago, Firewatch. It was developed by the group Campo Santo, and we actually saw them at the first PAX we went to. That was PAX East 2017. Yes. They were super cool to us. I loved the game, and they were super cool. Now, 2 years ago, they announced that they're making a new game, In the Valley of the Gods, which was similar art style, similar kind of playthrough, but a different story. Well, then Campo Santo was bought by Steam or Valve, and since then we haven't heard anything. But this article over at PC Gamer notes that Twitter bios of lead developers have removed any reference to the game, and the announcement trailer is gone.
So
Valve, God damn it, Gabe.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good indicator
that
it is not going to happen. And that one, I mean, I remember watching the videos on this. It looked like it was going to be an interesting story. It was definitely story rich. I mean, that's really what sold, Firewatch, their original game. And perhaps they just realized that it just wasn't working. And they probably didn't want, if it wasn't a good story like the original Firewatch, they probably didn't want people then not thinking so highly of them.
Why did Steam buy this? They spent all this money. They haven't done anything. They haven't released a product. Steam bought them over a year ago.
I mean, yeah.
And apparently now they've scrapped their only game that they were working on that was public.
It's hard to say. I mean, Valve is just, who knows? I mean, look at what Valve did with their card game. Honestly, Valve is not good at releasing games anymore. Not Fragment. What was it?
Soda Packs. Yeah, I don't remember what it's called.
Artifact. That's what it was. Artifact.
Disaster.
Yeah. So it's like, is Valve really serious about releasing games?
But this wasn't.
How long has it been since they've really released the game?
That's the weird thing about this. That's what I'm asking you. This wasn't their game. This game was like in development, done for all intents and purposes. I'm like the whole idea and everything. They bought the company and then have done nothing with it and have probably shut it down. It's weird, man. Super weird. Now maybe
it makes you wonder what happens behind the scenes of Valve.
Make sure. Well, this
like, what do people do all day?
This just isn't Valve. Google does this. All big companies do this. They buy these companies and then
Valve
you hear nothing
releases
from them.
So few games. What are they doing? Like, what are they doing with their time?
Partner management, managing these games.
But what about they have all these developers they've hired? What are they doing with them? The game developers
building Half-Life VR.
Which we'll see how that is.
Don't be such a.
I mean, honestly, it's like
such a Debbie Downer.
I just don't understand what they do behind the scenes. It's not like they're pushing out crazy content.
No, they're not. But then now, to be fair, okay, but they also are managing games like TF2. They're still doing updates to Dota. They're games that are.
They didn't hire these guys for that.
Well, I'm not saying that's what they hired them for, but my point, the Campo Santo was not a big studio. It was like 6 or 7 guys.
I know, but what's the point of hiring these guys? I mean, like, what are they going to do for the company?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I don't like now with this.
I don't see what in the world they're bothering to do unless Valve has some secret project.
Half-Life 3, Portal 3, Left 4 Dead 3.
Okay, let's do a little bit of conspiracy here.
Hold on.
What if they liked the way that the story happened so well in Firewatch that they wanted people that are really good at telling a story and carrying it through it? Because if you look at Firewatch and you look at Half-Life, they're somewhat similar in how you're being pulled through a story. Like, you go for a little while and more story is told. You go for a little while and more story is told. I think that is a possibility, is that if they are doing a Half-Life 3 or something similar, that these would be the kind of devs that you would want on that team. Because they lost their original writer. You know what I'm saying? Like, the guy who kind of was doing the whole Half-Life thing no longer works there.
Yeah.
I think that if they are serious about doing something, then these would be the kind of people that they wanted. And they're like, well, hey, you know, if we're going to do this for our 25th anniversary, we need to start pushing. And we only got 4 years left.
Now here's a hot take.
New Half-Life.
When you look at the original Left 4 Dead, the original Half-Life, the original Team Fortress, Portal's a little bit later. Specifically the PC video game marketplace was kind of like a barren wasteland, right? Everybody was just selling EXEs of games, right? And things were coming on CDs. Like, there was no, when Steam first started and Valve first started Steam, there was no games. So they had to make their own for all intents and purposes to get people to use the platform. And they turned out to be good games, but it was just a much different space. In 2019, if I'm Valve, I don't think I want a damn thing to do with the video game development business anymore. That's
why I don't understand why they're hiring these people, though.
Yeah, there's just the money.
What's
the money's just, I don't think the money is not in the development like it was. The money is now being Steam, just being what you're being. The marketplace, the one that can scrape off the top and just provide just provide the servers and the infrastructure, right? That's where you make all your money.
I think
why the hell would they want to bother?
I think for some reason they really want to do something with VR. For some reason, whatever internally in the company, and I think that they have things going in the background, kind of based on that.
Yeah, I mean, they're very much like Google, and they work on a lot of things, and a lot of it doesn't see the light of day. You worked at Google for a period of time. I'm sure you saw and heard about a whole bunch of projects that never had an intention of seeing the light of day, or just little pet projects that just happened, and people were getting paid to work on them, and teams were working on it, and it just never happened. Companies that big can do that.
There was one where, like, even with the Hangouts app, you would be surprised how many variations of the Hangouts app on the phone that I saw, the features that they never bothered releasing. They were like, hey, what do you think of this feature? Oh, that's cool. Never saw it again. It's like they created all these things, and then they do their split testing and say, we don't want to support this in the future. And there's so much stuff that they do that just, they're like, they'll fold the team and never continue it. And then there's, $1 million gone.
Yeah, but for Google, $1 million is like $10 for you and me.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, whatever. We know, we'll just move on to something else.
So interesting to see that the Campo Santo people are, to my knowledge now, don't have a game in development. If this is true, or the article over PC Gamer shows like 5 different Twitter handles that erased all the, verbiage about this new game, and the trailer's gone. So interesting to see what will come of them. I'm pretty disappointed. I was not that I was really looking forward to this game, but I loved Firewatch, and I would imagine I would have liked this as well. So
yeah,
good find.
Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah. So hopefully, Valve. I keep saying Steam, but hopefully Valve actually releases something soon.
Yeah. We've got some news from one of my favorite games, and that is Dead by Daylight. I like Dead by Daylight. Big fan. Haven't been playing as much of it because we've been poning noobs in Call of Duty. Having a good time with that when I'm not throwing things at walls. And they've released a couple things. They've got a new player test build out, their PTB, and it's time now for another new killer, another new survivor pack. So here is the official trailer for their new DLC. We'll talk about that and a couple of the other things coming to this update right after this.
Very good.
Whenever this decides to play. There we go. There we go. All right, so there it is. We've got a new killer, a new survivor, and a new DLC, and a new map, of course, and that is called Cursed Legacy. The killer is his name is Yuki Kamura. I've been watching some anime recently, so that kind of makes sense. He appears to be like what are those wooden monkey statues called that you see? That's the face of it. It's like a monkey's face with like a bunch of teeth that are coming out of it, and he's got a samurai sword and some armor. That's what he looks like. So he's like a samurai monkey statue thing. Then you've got the killer, you've got the killer whose name is the Owen, O-N-I, and then the survivor is the Yuki Kamura. And then there's a new map, the Yamakoa Estate theme, Sanctum of the Wraith. Jesus.
There you go.
Added a Japanese thematic lobby for the chapter. So we got a new DLC, new map, typical new map, new killer, one new killer, new survivor, and a new map. And this is on the player test build. Now, with this, Brian, there's something in here that's going to affect me very negatively, and that is a feature. Disconnection penalties. Players who disconnect
you can't
early...
rage quit anymore.
Players who disconnect early from games will receive a temporary matchmaking ban, and the duration will escalate for repeat offenders. So this is right out of the League of Legends book, which works very well in League, because you close out a League, you can't play for like 25 minutes. It's a real buzzkill, which is good. I'm glad they're doing this. This will hold me in line. Hopefully. So that's on there. Balance. They've done some rank resets. Debuff perks no longer appear on the survivors in-game HUD. Updated several killer perks with undetectable statuses. They've worked on some hit things. This is just the PTB notes, so we're not going to go into all of it because this is the test build. We'll talk more about all the updates with the official when the official one comes out, including all the perks and all the things that all the killers and survivors are going to have. So it's available. It's on the player test build server 3.4.0 for Dead by Daylight. So cool trailer, and this will be out here in December. So right on track with the roadmap.
Well, this
still waiting for dedicated servers, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Still waiting.
I was going to say this game is promised dedicated servers months ago now.
Supposed to be summer,
and then they delayed it. Yeah,
summer became.
They delayed it and still hasn't.
Yeah, summer became winter, and I think that's where we are now.
Well, and that's something that is an ongoing expense. I mean, that is a big thing to bite off and to actually do is dedicated servers. But I think that the community, they have a pretty good community. They do really good partnerships with various medias, as far as they did they do a lot of the horror games and a lot of the hot TV shows. I mean, they've just been putting out crazy content. So, and they're selling these things, so they're making money. So I think they've got a pretty good player base right now. So.
Another game that seems to do DLC in a pretty good way. The community at large doesn't seem to be all that pissed about it. They don't want it, they don't buy it. If they want it, they buy it. That's kind of the approach. This one doesn't really interest me a whole hell of a lot, so I probably won't get it. But it won't affect my game.
Is it based on some some other show? I mean,
doesn't say so.
I assume this is pre-existing.
I don't think
I
so.
assume this is no. I just assumed it was some. Game or something.
I just searched the survivor's name and the killer's name, and nothing comes up. Okay, that's not true. The ONI is part of Japanese mythology. It's a type of demonic creature, often giant size with great strength. So, okay, it is their own thing, but it's based off of this Japanese mythology. The killer is just a random chick, from what I see here.
I mean, and they did a really good job. Like, if you look at the art style, like they did a really good job with this.
I gotta pause that. My bad. Yeah, no, it looks great. Looks awesome. Yeah, this is very typical for them. This is not. I mean, this is par for the course.
Yeah,
really
I think
solid.
They've done
game.
a good job.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about PUBG for a little bit.
Did you want to hear the sound effect again? Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Hey, don't forget my bio. I'm an avid broadcaster and gamer, according to the Infection Podcast website.
So PUBG, they have announced PUBG Labs.
Oh, what's that?
And so that's how they're going to be testing content. They're coming up with a way to be able to test content with the players. And so usually they do test servers and release features on there. However, one things they want to do is be able to test things in more of their normal environment. So they're doing this labs where they can put experimental settings, features, and modes in there on the live client, and then people can jump in there and actually try it out. So it's not replacing the test server, but just a way that they can kind of throw in some things into live, see how they work without having to rely on people going, because that's one of your complaints you've always had. People don't go and download the test servers and actually test these things.
And we've talked about this extensively with not PUBG, but just games in the past, usability and just ease of access. And people do not want to download another launcher and convince all of their friends to download another launcher to play a game. So this needs to be the way that we go with all these games. Add the test mode to the existing launcher if possible. Put it under a sub menu. Put it under an advanced. You got to click an advanced thing in the menu to turn it on. Do something. But we saw it with H1Z1. We've seen it with PUBG. We've seen it with everything else. Nobody downloads and uses the freaking test servers because it's a pain in the ass.
And then we complain when there's bugs in the live.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I've said this 1,000 times. Don't bitch about the updates unless you're playing on the test. But it's just so damn inconvenient. Nobody wants to. What are you gonna do? Go sit there? What are you gonna play by yourself?
Well, and this one thing that's interesting about this, it's more of an opt-in system. So, for instance, they're going to be adding one of the initial things is a skill-based rating.
Yeah,
and so you can go to that. You can click it. You can say, "I want to opt in." And then you'll now be participating in that skill-based rating to where it'll give you like a gold ranking, a platinum ranking, things like that.
Much more likely to get players to interact when they can just take a button in their existing launcher and do not have to convince their friends to do something different. Because that's, and especially this game. This isn't H1Z1 Just Survive, where you can really play by yourself. People are playing PUBG with their friends.
Yep.
So
this is something that you'll see more and more, but that'll be in the main client, so you don't have to download anything extra. But if you want to try some of the things out, go check it out in the lab, and then you can opt into whatever you feel like testing.
Yes, very cool. I like this. Hopefully others follow suit.
Now, another thing that they're doing is revamping how the crate system works. I think they learned some bad habits from H1Z1, and they are recovering from those. And so what they're going to be doing is, first of all, they will no longer. So when you purchase, like random crates purchased with the battle points, no longer contain crates that require a key to open.
Okay.
So they're going to be pretty much getting rid of the key system. So they're not going to have it to where you buy and do the random. Partially, people were not seeing a value. They didn't see a point in opening the crates because, I mean, first of all, because they're so highly entrenched with China, where they are required to put the actual percentage chance that they're going to get an item. And then when people see that's like a 0.001% chance that they're going to get the top item, and then it's like a 30% chance that they're going to get the
Red
lowest
trucker
item.
hat.
Yeah, it's like people don't like seeing the odds. Now, the odds didn't change, but people don't like seeing them.
Brian, you should go to Vegas and become a casino, a casino. What's the word I'm looking for? Come on, I botched this 6 ways from Sunday. A casino consultant, and place the statistics on all of the machines on your likelihood
and see how well it helps their business.
To piss away all of your money. Yes, you should go become a consultant for casinos. I think this is a good business for you.
No, yeah, I think, of course, that's what people want, is to be transparent. So we will put all the statistics, the 0.0000001% chance that they'll win any money.
I want to be totally transparent.
And so this is something that they're going to be pretty much adding a new crate that you can purchase it with the battle points. It's going to be unlocked. You don't have to do the key thing. We saw a lot of games that have been doing this, and I haven't seen them turning around and going back. So obviously it's probably working. People, I think, now just want to buy something and not have it be such a gamble.
Like anything else, with at least the economy in the United States, if people want something and it's reasonably priced and they can afford it, they will buy it. That's just how things just kind of work here, and around most of the world. So if you might be able to get it out of the loot crate by only spending $3, or you could just buy it for $7 and call it a day, and just buy the thing you want and be done. And for me, somebody that is not likely to buy DLC at all, I have a 100% higher chance of buying something that I know I'm going to get rather than do the key to open system. Yeah. I'm likely not going to buy it anyway, but at least you've got a chance of selling me the physical item itself rather than keys. I did the key thing back in Team Fortress 2. It sucked.
Yeah. Well, and they're going to be, so pretty much the lock crates are going to be gone by December 18th.
Awesome. That's great news.
So, because they're doing it in phases. And so this is just going to be something where you can buy a crate, you open it, and there's not going to be this kind of game of, oh, I've got all these stacks of crates and then I have to get a key to open them. So I think this will be better for the players. And I think that most of these companies are realizing what you've said is people will buy it. If you put something out cool,
they'll buy it. This will be better for the company. They'll make more. I predict they'll make more money selling the individual products than they do on the keys and crates. And I'm trying to think, Brian, outside of Counter-Strike and Team Fortress, does Apex, do you buy keys in Apex? I think you do. Or unlock tokens or something?
I don't know. I haven't played that one in so long. But I mean, Rocket League used to do this.
Yep, you did.
And now they've gotten away from it. So I think that a lot of the big competitive games like this have moved away from that.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I remember a couple weeks ago we showed a graph, and it showed the spending for this type of thing has dropped dramatically in the last year.
Way down.
So I think they're realizing, oh, well, we got to do things different. People are just not feeling like doing that. They're not feeling, because they feel like they're throwing away their money. They got other things to spend their money on. They've got other games they're coming out they spend their money on. People aren't going to toss hundreds of dollars into H1Z1 anymore.
So see, but I disagree with you. They will toss hundreds of dollars into H1Z1. These people will still spend their money, but I predict they will be spending it. I think they'll spend more money because they'll be able to buy what they want.
Yeah, but I think that in the way it was going, people would have just chosen not to spend the $100, and they would have spent it on something else. So they're trying to figure out, well, how can we change this to where people will still spend money? How would they still find value in what we're offering?
Yeah, I think this is great. This gives the end consumer the absolute control and absolute power of what they want.
Yep.
You want pink, purple hat looking thing? $5. I mean, very, very simple.
So that's what they're doing. I was kind of surprised to see it, but you should, in the next couple of weeks, start seeing all those changes. So if you want to log in and kind of see what's going on with your crates, you're more than welcome to do that. But any new ones that you get in the future will not be locked.
Yes, sir. Very cool.
7 Days to Die. They put out their 18.1 alpha. So they actually put out the new patch. That was pretty quick. And this is pretty long. I mean, it's, their normal, it's probably about 4 or 5 pages, 3 or 4 pages of updates here. So mainly a lot of fixes. They did add some settings for adjusting the blood moon frequency. They've been adjusting like settings for the block damage and loot abundance. So the AI block damage and loot abundance of 33 and 67%. So you can tweak those numbers. Settings for blood moon count of 6 and 10 enemies. They customize the club swings swoosh sound. So that's different. I have a feeling they still have not added a female trader sound, but just fixes and a lot of things from their 18, because that was a very stable. I mean, we were very happy with.
Super solid.
Yeah, with the Alpha 18. But this just pretty much has a lot of fixes. As Jay Delori is saying, they did remove the blood draw kits.
They did.
So that's no longer in there. But they added some perks and made some things cheaper and rebalanced them. They removed the invisible random penalties from the silencer mod. So you can put a silencer on and it won't randomly penalize you for it anymore.
I like this one.
Combat shoveling was reduced.
This is my favorite. It says removed empty chance from CTN soda fountain, which is the string name for the soda machine. So I guess you used to pay for the soda machine and you get nothing. So they've removed that. You'll definitely get something now.
So now you always get something.
Container CTN soda fountain. Yes.
Nice.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Collapsed workstations drop their schematic 20% of the time now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I mean, just a lot of little. Yeah. They're tweaking some things and then a lot of fixes. So.
Yes, awesome game. Big fan of 7 Days to Die.
That's 7 Days to Die, 18.1.
Coolio.
Is there any? Do you have a preference on what we go to next?
No, sir.
All right. Well, let's talk about our favorite company in studio. Daybreak has released an event for Planetside Arena.
Oh. Okay.
And so they're doing a capture the flag, and so they're wanting people to give feedback on the new game mode. And they said this is a new game mode that puts a fresh spin on an old classic.
I do like CTF. When is this?
Yes.
Oh, this was last weekend.
So, well,
damn it. Wait.
Yes, you missed it. But
wait, they posted this last Friday. Why do they do this? This was posted at 4:02 p.m. last Friday.
I know.
How would I have known about this?
It was for that day.
So now through Monday.
So you had to log in that day, test it.
No, you could play. Then, it was there through Monday.
Oh, through Monday.
I would have loved
they took down the servers to put it on Friday.
I absolutely would have played this.
Yep. So
we're gonna start doing
the
show.
Like a best of 5.
We need to start doing a Saturday, like a Nick and Brian's quick hits on a Saturday. Here's what you missed.
Here's all the news that.
Yeah, because I don't look at any of our. That's not true. I try not to read a whole bunch of stuff during the week because I don't remember what we talked about on the show prior and what I read. I try not to because it's confusing. I'm like, did we talk about this? But so I never even see this stuff. I would have played this. This would have been game of the week.
So
I love CTF.
Well, but now it's not. So it's done.
Thanks.
But we'll see if it was popular. Maybe they will bring it up. But this was a limited time event.
Let's see how many. What do you think their player count was over the weekend?
Planetside. 150.
Oh, it's got to be higher than that, right? Let me see.
We'll see.
Planetside Arena. We'll go to Steam charts and 1 week. 70.
Oh, I was way over. See, I originally was getting ready to say 50, and I was like, no, that's got to be way too low. So I was like, no, 150. And then I was closer on 50.
Wow. 70
people
Holy
on their
shit.
new game mode. That shows you that you become irrelevant.
70? Brian, there will
Not a
be
free-to-play game.
I'll post this podcast here at around 10:30 Eastern. Podcatchers download it like overnight. By the time people wake up Wednesday morning, there will be more than 70 people that will have downloaded this show automatically and will have consumed it via podcast, Twitch, or YouTube. Their max player count for a brand new free game was 70.
Yep.
Come watch us live. I want to have more viewers than Planetside Arena next week. Actually, how many do they have now? We might have. Hold on. There's 17 people. We've got more viewers watching this program right now than are playing Planetside Arena.
Yeah.
And we don't have many people watching. This is not a good sign.
So that's the issue is how's the studio move forward with this? Like, how do you keep people hired? How do you justify keeping people hired?
I mean, this is just atrocious.
And the thing is it replaced squads. So it took over. Of course, they have to do that because you can't spread this user base any thinner.
Brian,
right?
It's like you've got a sandwich you have to make, and you have got the tip of your knife has got peanut butter, and you've got to spread that peanut butter over that entire piece of bread. It ain't gonna work.
You're not making two sandwiches.
You're not making one sandwich. you're ripping the bread apart trying to spread that peanut butter out. It ain't gonna work. This is insane. Yeah. Hold on, wait. They did a post 23 hours ago. No, that's Planetside 2. Never mind. The Planetside Arena Twitter is just them retweeting things from Planetside 2. What the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell are they thinking?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they have a marketing team for it anymore.
This tweet has got more likes than they had concurrent players. It's got 95 likes on Twitter.
Yeah, but those people aren't playing it.
Clearly. At least not all at the same time.
How many people are playing Planetside 2?
2? I don't know. Let's take a look.
I mean, because I can't imagine that you don't get some crossover. How do you not get crossover? It used to be
there's 1,200 people playing Planetside 2 for a game that's 10
like,
years old.
How do they get no crossover?
Because Planetside Arena sucks. We played it. It's awful. And it's not the same. People don't want to play BR. You know what? We've played Planetside 2 a bunch. And it's an awesome game. Because it's, in my opinion, it's kind of mindless, right? You run in the game. You're not worried about your KD.
You die a lot.
Doesn't matter. You're just shooting the shit with your friends, talking, and just running around and like saying, "Oh, here comes the Sunder." I mean, that's it, right? It's mindless, and that's fun. Mindless games can be fun. And Planetside, in my opinion, is very mindless in that way, which I love. I like to be able to play it, not have to go so hardcore that I'm punching holes in the door or wall, and I can just play it and have a good time. But Planetside Arena is not that. It's a BR game. It's pushing you towards a circle, and it's not mindless. It's a strategy, and they did.
And if you die, there's a chance that then you have to sit there and watch your friends play. You don't immediately respawn.
Yeah,
and it's just different.
And the problem you have is because the mechanics of the game suck. When you die, it's like, oh, well, that sure sucks, doesn't it? Because now I got to wait 45 minutes to play again because I got to wait for a lobby to fill. Planetside Arena, you just respawn and jump right back into the battle. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think I just can't imagine how they continue on.
I like PS2. I think PS2 is a great game.
But that has a player base.
Yeah,
but with
what it is,
just like Just Survive. Like, at what point? I remember we said this exact same thing about Just Survive. At what point did they decide it's not worth keeping these devs on anymore?
Very shortly for this. This is.
I feel like they've already checked out.
How could they not? Would you blame them for checking out?
No, but I mean, they checked out before it was even released.
They checked out when it was released, in my opinion. That first week.
Even before, remember they put it off and then they didn't say a word about it for months. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we thought it was going to be canceled. And the next week they announced it and released it. Yeah. Like they said they were going to release it. They went silent. They waited months past the release date. We thought it was folded. And then all of a sudden they just said, oh, it's out. It was the worst launch possible. They did it in the worst way they could possibly try.
The most Daybreak way.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's a really weird. So I don't know. I look at it and I don't think they really care. The vibe that I get from that company and their last however many releases, that nobody really cares anymore. People are like, I just think they feel like they've already practically lost their jobs and they're just showing up, maybe. Because what are they doing?
I'm reading the tweet.
It's been a long time.
I'm reading the tweets, the responses.
Mm-hmm.
These people are just like, they just don't understand. They're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I don't know.
This guy, I like this guy. He's the Infection Podcast cool tweeter of the week. Test that with the 12 players online. That's a good tweet. I like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there probably were at that time 12 players.
Jesus. Max player mode.
So,
looks like a cheap map. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
But remember we talked about Daybreak is kind of splitting up into separate
entities,
companies. So I'm wondering if they are going to fold this once they've done that so that there's no financial liability.
I don't see how any business could keep this game operating. When we say there's no player base, there is no player base. There are like 15 people playing the game right now. 11. It just went down. Now there's 11 people playing.
And how are they queuing up for a lobby?
We've got double the watchers of this podcast live than they've got people playing the entire game.
Their team that made the game is much larger than the people playing it. If they just continue paying their development team to play the game, they would double their numbers.
You know what I find funny about this? The Steam Spy estimates say that the median play time in the past 2 weeks is 0 minutes.
Yeah. So people log in, they see that they can't queue. And
the
then
average play time in the last 2 weeks is also 0 minutes.
Now, do they have bots in this?
No, I don't think so.
They need bots.
No, they don't have bots. That's why it takes 4 hours for a lobby
to start. They need something that just fills it out. Or else people log in, they see that they're not going to queue, and they leave.
Well, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. So I don't know what else they're going to do.
The world may never know, Brian.
Yeah. So anyway, so I thought you'd be interested in hear a little bit about the recent Daybreak events.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you.
So another thing is we have SCUM, and
cool.
they put out 2 patches. They're still nowhere near the release that I'm waiting for. The 0.3.1, I think, is what I said I would play at. But they did release a 0.2.62.18218, and this has some fixes, about 6 different fixes. They did rework car repair. And then they did some quality of life enhancements. They put the regular menu in from the Halloween. They had their Halloween event up until this. They added some commands like list players, so you can see what players are online. Also, they added a VSync option to the menu. So if you rely on VSync for your graphics card, they do have that. And they removed loading screen when drone teleports. This allows usage of the chat window during world loading. So they made it so you can actually chat with people when everything's loading up. Then 0.2.63.18218 was a quick fix. They initially came up over on the 13th. So they did a quick hot fix on that to make it so that it said disconnect possible fix for the disconnect occurring due to big number of base buildings elements being destroyed by decay at the same time. So if people built a lot of things at the same time and then it all decayed at the same time, it was causing disconnects. So that is current for SCUM.
Cool. Very another game. Lots of potential. I think a lot of the pieces of the puzzle are there, but it's just just the pieces just aren't just not put in the right place.
Yeah. Now, one that I think still has a decent number of players, Ring of Elysium. they have gone and first of all, they enabled another one of their characters. They seem to be adding a lot of characters to this game.
Nice.
And then they did some balances and changes for their gameplay, like the drones, the vehicle mod kits, which has been a big thing where you go in and, for instance, like the time to repair and to modify your vehicles cut in half. The cooldown's been cut in half. I think now that they've got it fairly stable, they're making it to where it's easier and faster to do. I saw some streamers playing this, and it looked pretty cool with like the vehicles. They keep modding the vehicles, and it's got a huge like snow plow type of thing, or cattle guard on the front, and drops barrels of gasoline that you can shoot and they'll explode. If someone's following you, things like that. Then they had a list of bug fixes on there as well, and then they did another patch on the 15th, which just was a client crash because of the drone. So probably something they changed with the drone. They did a quick little patch to fix that. So that is ROE.
Cool. Good stuff from them.
All right. Do you care about Halo? Now I saw I haven't heard about Halo for a while, but
I do.
Halo Reach is coming to the Master Chief Collection on December 3rd. And I know you're a big Halo fan.
I am a big Halo fan. I don't know how I feel about I've said in the past I'm very excited for Halo to be on the PC because it's been such a long time since I've played Halo.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to depend on people I want to play games with buy it. Halo's again another one of these games that's fun, but like Call of Duty and like Miscreated and Rust and a lot of these other games, half of it is the game, half of it is the people you're playing with. And if I don't have anybody that I'm like super stoked about playing, so I'm probably not going to buy it. It's just the reality of it. I mean, none of the buddies that I played Halo with have PCs and are going to play this with me. So I don't know. I know Musty and I will probably play. I know he's super stoked, so I'll probably get it to play with him. That's about it.
I mean, is Halo really a game that you think about playing with like certain people?
Yes, absolutely.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's just no different than Call of Duty. I mean, it's a game you want to play with a couple people that are cool to play games.
But it's always been like an Xbox game.
Yeah.
Where you bring that over to PC. I don't know a lot of PC people that are like, oh, I'm going to definitely play Halo, unless they're thinking on console.
Yeah. I think this is good for the Halo franchise. I'm glad it's coming to PC. It's a little late for my liking, but I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm not sure if it's for me.
Yeah,
that's all.
I mean, I never was really, I never had a bunch. I didn't really have an Xbox. I had an Xbox, but it was overheated, and so I never played it. And so I just never really got into Halo personally. I mean, I played some of one, but I just never really got into it. And I think I played it too late. I was just like, eh.
Yeah.
So, okay. Atlas, they put out a patch put out some patches. And I mean, they're continuing to put out things. They, of course, have it on the Xbox now.
Yep.
So they kind of have different patch cycles. But we covered 4.401.5 previously. And they put out about 4 patches since then. Very small ones. For instance, they disabled the claim flag height limit on the PvE servers. It was only meant to be active on PvP servers. That was 4.01.9. 401.10, they disabled the claim flag height limit on all official network. Functionality still works and can be used on unofficial servers. That was the only patch for that one. 401.13, imprint time now scales inversely, decreases when the baby maturation rate is above 4x. This means during bonus raid events, imprint timers will automatically adjust to compensate for the quicker maturation. And 401.14, fixed maps not loaded on non-home grids for unofficial servers. So that's it. That's been the last week or week and a half.
Wow. Exciting.
So, I don't know. There was a big issue because I made that tool that was used for Linux, and they put out some patches that just made it to where just you couldn't run Linux servers. I mean, I just don't know what I don't think they're really taking it seriously anymore. And obviously they're not putting out a lot of patches for it.
Sure as hell doesn't appear that way.
So another one is Conan. Conan Exiles, they put out their on the 18th. So yesterday, they go by European time. So 18.11.2019. And their fix for that was fixed a vulnerability that would allow for code to be injected into game files.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah, so they patched that, and that was their only patch. And yeah, I think, did we miss anything?
No, sir. That puts us right at the 2-hour mark. Good work.
I think that was it.
All right. Well, if it's all right with you, I'm going to turn that little lower third thing off and go to current players. That work for you?
Yep.
All right, let's take a look at some video games and who is currently playing them. Currently playing Ark, Survival Evolved, 26,573. The 24-hour peak, 40,026, with a 7-day peak of 57,873. Moving on over to Rust, currently playing 35,468. 50,555 is your 24-hour peak, with a 7-day peak of 72,930. Let's take a look quickly at Miscreated, currently playing 477, the 24-hour peak, 666, uh-oh, be careful with that number, and the 7-day peak, 815. And then finally here, as we move on over to 7 Days to Die, currently playing 17,376, the 24-hour peak, 20,947, with a 7-day peak, 30,931. That is current players, and those are all of the games, or some of the games rather, and the people that are playing them. So there you go.
Very good. All right. So you ready for tip of the week?
Yeah. What is tip of the week, Brian?
Well, tip of the week's either where I go and give a general gaming tip or one for a specific game. And since we talked a little bit about it, Astroneer, that will be tip of the week. All right, so not a lot of people have played Astroneer, but I figure I'd give some kind of interesting tips for starting out in that game. And one thing is there's a planet called Novus. And one thing that you will want to do is try to get to that planet early on, because it has certain materials that you want to mine that make making the batteries much easier in the game. It has a lot of lithium. And so if you're able to get to Novus in that game, you'll be able to get batteries. It makes progressing in the game a lot easier. The second thing you'll probably want to do is get the small rover, because it gives you the ability to climb up 80 degrees inclines on planets. And so like if you're on a planet or a moon that has a lot of mountains, if you can make the small rover, it allows you to traverse those and really look for the various materials much easier. And then, there's just, as you go through, there's various things that you can skip. You don't have to make every tier of an item. For instance, you can skip the tier 2 of the drill mod and go to the, there's various items. So when you're looking at what to build and what to make, don't feel like you have to make every item that comes up, because sometimes you're not getting a big enough of a bonus or an improvement for one item versus the other, and it doesn't really help you that much. So take a look, see, okay, it's going to cost me this much to learn this or to craft it. It's going to give me this percentage of a boost in my production or my gather rate. Is it worth it? And so as you go through, just kind of look at that. It'll help you progress a lot sooner. But as I said, first of all, get to Novus, because batteries make a huge difference in this game. And you'll notice that once you craft a lot of these things, they require power and oxygen and all this. So figure out ways you can get that, and you'll progress to the game and actually be able to leave your base for longer periods of time. So that is tip of the week.
Wow, some fancy B-roll there. Boy, I had to scramble to find that footage. I was like, damn it, where did I put on my PAX B-roll? Yes, cool stuff. Astronaut was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Super cool guys too. Very, very cool.
And it works well as a single player game. You just go play however long you want, save your world.
Yes, sir.
And continue when you feel like it. So
absolutely.
Which is different than what's the space game that we played?
Elite Dangerous?
Elite Dangerous, where I mean you could play local, I guess, but that one is just you always felt like you were so lost and you were starting over every time. I like a game that's a little more simple to where you don't have to remember how to play every time. So
there you go. Game of the week. We're just going to have kind of a free-for-all. We'll pick something later on in the week. We'll see if somebody announces that they're doing a special weekend or something like that. But just join us around Friday night sometime between 7 and 9, 7 and 10, whatever. And just see what's going on. Ping, say, hey, I want to play this. Anybody want to play? And we'll get a group. Maybe we'll do tabletop. I don't know what we'll do. Play some. I'll probably play some COD. Absolutely. And then next week is Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah, so we'll have to figure out what to do.
And I'll be out of town. I'll be visiting a cousin.
Oh, nice. Where you going? Can you divulge where you going?
Spokane.
Oh, chill.
Yep. Spokane.
Wait, hold on. Give me 1 second. Is this guy going to be traveling to Spokane? Hold on, I got to find this. Is this guy going to be in Spokane?
I don't think that guy should be driving.
What about this guy? Is this guy gonna be in Spokane?
He might. So, all right. Anyway, so let's do the game giveaway.
Okay, sure.
Because I do have hockey to get to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Kibitz X, congratulations, and I will send you a message here in Twitch with your key. Congratulations, and you have won. So. And that was a copy of 1111 Memories Retold.
Absolutely. Let's see. Do we have anything else, Brian? Oh, where'd you go, Brian? What happened? What happened to you? Yeah, I guess you can go ahead and do your outro if we've got nothing else.
Well, if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, of course, my blog, biteoftech.com. If you would like, you can go to our website, infectionpodcast.com. Make sure you peruse Nick's bio there. Highly informative. Also, we have on there links to our audio-only form. So whatever platform you may be listening to us on, or if you want to go check out our videos, we have it on Twitch, Mixer, and YouTube. You have the ability to watch any of those live during our live show. If you want to know when we're going live, make sure you join our Steam group. We've got a link there, and you'll get a little pop-up right before the live show starts, and you can join in on the chat. Join in on the game giveaways. Also, our Discord server, if you want to be a part of playing games this weekend, make sure you jump in there. If you want to submit news throughout the week to help us with this show, we have a news channel in there. And then if you want to know any of the links or articles that we referred to, you want to watch any of the videos, we'll have the show notes for this episode and all episodes previous to this on the website as well. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Brian, thank you for always piecing everything together here with all the show notes and getting all that stuff prepared and done. And want to give a huge shout out to everybody that's been part of the podcast here for the past 5 years or so that we've been doing it. We crossed 100,000 unique downloads on the audio version of the show, the RSS podcast version of the show this past week. So that's super cool. And then everybody that supports us, with the ongoing Twitch subscriptions and everything else, including including Tag, USA of Zombie, Valp, Falcon, Maltaurus, and Johnny Fine, who all hit us up here within the past week. We appreciate it, guys, and everybody else. We'll be here Friday for Game of the Week in our Discord, and we'll be back here next Tuesday for another episode of Infection. So, Brian, again, thank you, and we'll see you Friday night.
See you later.
Alrighty, folks, that's going to do it for another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Of course, you missed any part of the show, videos, links, images, all that fun stuff on our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great week. See you next time.